Last night, I gave my first in-person speaking presentation in a very long time. And a woman came up to me at the end and asked me a question that I thought was so smart and relevant. She said, Courtney, things are starting to get back to normal and maybe be good again. Why do I still feel so crummy? That's a brilliant question because I think a lot of us are feeling that way. I know I am. We should be happy and joyful that we're starting to get to do some things we used to do. We're starting to feel a little more normal. Maybe we can feel safe. And yet, I think a lot of us still feel fear, hesitancy. We don't know how to go back to normal the way that it used to be. And what I realized is that we know PTSD. You've probably heard of PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, there's also such a thing as just post-traumatic stress. Post-traumatic stress disorder is when the situation has become so dire that it controls your life and your behaviors. But you can have post-traumatic stress. It's like the JV version of PTSD. It's not a disorder yet. It's just low-level stress that happens after a trauma. And the reality is what we've been through these past 15, 16 months is a type of trauma. There was so much uncertainty and fear. Many people lost their jobs. If you didn't lose your job, you might have been at risk or felt at risk of losing your job. Your job changed. Your role in the home changed. You were worried for your family, your children. We are coming out of a period of great stress and trauma. And if you try to ignore that and only focus on, yay, great, we can put that behind us, you're actually ignoring, you're just covering up and shoving in a box some underlying trauma without addressing it. So here's what I recommend. First, recognize that there is stress and trauma that you can't just necessarily brush aside so quickly. You experienced it. It's like if you call the boogeyman Mike, he seems a little less intimidating. So give it a name, call it what it is and recognize it rather than feel guilt about it. Something else that I think works is to make a list. A lot of people know about gratitude journaling. I think that's really helpful and we're gonna get there in just a second. But first I think you ought to work on a list of the things that still stress you out, feel uncertain. Are these question marks in your mind that you still have to overcome? Sometimes if we get them out on paper, it's easier to start thinking about strategies, to start thinking about how we're gonna tackle them versus if it's not in black and white and it's just this concept that's like looming in your brain at 2 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody to talk to. Get it out on paper. Then on the other side of the paper, that's where you can put, okay, here are the good things, the things I'm grateful for, the things that are working in my life. If you're feeling some post-trauma stress, it might be a little harder. You're probably not gonna get it done in one sitting. You may need to come back and revisit. Be like, oh yeah, you know what? That thing that I just experienced, that's probably something that should go on the gratitude side of the list. Over time, you'll start finding more things to add to the gratitude list and it'll start to get longer than the list of things that are worrying you. You may find that some of the things on the gratitude, the good side of the list, are actually tools you can use to help you address the struggle side of the list. But you can't really see them unless you've got them in black and white. So get it out of your head. When things just live in your head, I think they're much more intimidating and scary. Get them out in black and white, and then you can address them. It is entirely normal to still feel crummy. If it feels like everybody else around you is celebrating and just going back to normal, you are not alone. This is some really unstable ground we're standing on right now. Please know I'm in this with you. I feel like I've been going 15 miles an hour for the past 15 or 16 months, and now all of a sudden the world has turned up to 100. And I'm speaking in person again and working on a book, and like all of a sudden I'm healthy after my health challenges for the past year, and now I'm clear to exercise and work out, and I don't see a nurse 3 times a week. So my life has gone from 15 miles an hour to 100 miles an hour, and my soul is not ready for that. So I'm right there with you. I think many people are. We can be excited about what's to come, but still feel a little bit nervous. We're in it together.